Can you help me out back there? The middle one, yeah. Thanks. Just focus there. It might be just me, but I love that my autofocus is AF. Is focus AF? All right. Sorry. It's the little things that get you through every day. 3/5 now. Guys. Everybody? Everybody. Shh. There you go. Sorry. I'm going to cut into your work. I'm sorry. I just need it quiet so I can talk. There's a couple different ways to do this. If you can't make the bottom 100 or 10 or something nice like that, then you have to do long division. So this one, you could either make the bottom become 10 or 100 if you want to, or you could do 5 goes into 3. And why? If you do this, I really just need one place because 5 goes into 36 times there, so it's 0.6. Or multiply top and bottom by 2, don't you get 6/10? Which is 0.6. Now, how do I make a decimal become a percent? What did I mean by this weirdness? If I go from D to P, I go that way. It's crazy. The percent number is always bigger than the decimal number, because the decimal number is the one that was divided by 100. The percent number, the percent symbol means divide by 100. It hasn't happened yet. It will always be bigger than the related decimal number. Hopefully, one of those things makes sense. So how to make it into a percent? Once, twice. 60%. Yes, sir.
So 60% are always out of 100. That's why the decimal point is we have to move it
Twice. That's why it's always twice with percentages, because 100 has 2 zeros.
So we have to move it to the 100
Yeah.
spot because percents are out of 100. Okay.
Yes, cool. So multiplication by 10 is move the decimal once. So by 100 is move it twice. Yeah. What about this guy? So how do I take it back to a decimal from 42.7? Move it back once, twice. And then we count the place, tenths, hundredths, thousands. 427 over 1,000. How about 0.064? How do I make that into a percent? Once, twice. 6.4%. And then right now it's going to be tenths, hundreds, thousands again, right? 64 over 1,000. And I'm going to say this on a quiz or a test. I normally don't even want you to reduce this. That's not really the point of this. One reason is because if this is on a part where I let you use a calculator, some calculators can do fractions. But they always give you the reduced form. So if I say don't reduce it, you can't just use your calculator. Haha. I've got to trick you into learning shit. It's crazy. All right, what about this guy? This guy, a lot of people go the wrong way because your brain says it's small enough already. But the processes in math don't give a shit what the number is. How do I go from percent to decimal? I move it back. I'm going to make it even smaller because 0.03% is stupid small, right? And we'll see it when we make it a decimal. Once, twice, it becomes 0.0003. Dude. And what is that? Tenths, hundredths, thousands, 10,000ths. Cool. I like it. And then, now this one, to go to percent is relatively easy. What is 1 as a percentage? Which is 100%, which makes sense. 1 is 100%. So anything less than 1 is less than 100%. Anything more than 1 is more than 100%. This is why you shouldn't freak out, because you get, what do you get? 112%. Right? So you can't have 112% of the people in here are right-handed. That would be like, did you just create people? What the hell? But you can't have like 112% increase in profit, for example. It more than doubled then. Right? So 112% does have physical meaning. Just depends on the situation. But now, how the hell do I do this shit? Well, this is 1. Isn't this mixed? Isn't this a whole number and a decimal number? So 1, and what's 0.12? 12 over 100. So that's one way to do it, is 1 and 12 hundredths. Let me make sure. This is 1 and 12 hundredths. Now watch. what if you go from 112%? What does percent mean? So in this 112 over 100? Aren't these the same? 100 times 1 is 100 plus 12 is 212. All right, so it doesn't matter which way you go. They're both the same. Is that decent?
Yeah.
So when I have a mixed decimal, a whole number with a decimal number, I can make it a mixed fraction. Or I can go straight from percentage and put it over 100. Yeah.
So if we go straight from like percentage and like put it over 100, will we like get that wrong, or is that still?
I'll show you where you would get it wrong.
Okay.
All right. Here's the kind of problem where that would get you, not do you well. In fact, there's an example right up here. 42.7%. What's wrong? If I say write this as a fraction and you write 42.7 over 100, that is a decifraction. What the shit? That's a decision or a, I don't know, a fracamole, right? That sounds more like a fracamole. It's not even whack-a-mole. All right. But watch how you can take care of this. Remember, now watch. I'm just going to show you. If I multiply the top by 10 and the bottom by 10, do you see how we got the same answer we did before? So yeah, putting it over 100 will always work as long as you make sure you clear any decimals. There can't be any decimals in fraction notation. It's not a fraction. A fraction is a whole number over a whole number. Period. So yeah, there are multiple ways to do this. That'll work. Totally. That's the one place you got to be careful is if there's a decimal left in your fraction, you can't let that happen. What about in this last one? You just have to do 16 into 3, or you can use a calculator. I didn't really say you couldn't, but oh well. I appreciate everybody who didn't. So if you go 1, 16. Oh shit, sorry. All right, 14, 140. This will be 8. That's 80, 48, 128. That's 120. 7 is 112. 8 is 5. See? All right. So I'm never going to give you one. If it would go forever, I'd tell you to round to someplace so you know where to stop, so you don't go insane. If I don't say to round to someplace, it means this is going to stop somewhere within the first 4. I'm not going to take it out 8 decimal places. That's just stupid busy work. That's not that bad. What's that as a... So that's the decimal, 0.1875. And what is it as a percent? 18.75%. I like it. Now, for some reason, people... I keep saying this, and I'm sorry, but for some reason, there's a lot of things that people used to come out of high school understanding, but now they don't. Percentages are a really big place. They are so little understood about percentages nowadays. This is not a difficult problem, really. It's out of 20. Out of 20, how many are left-handed? 3. So the natural way to write 3 out of 20 is 3 out of 20, like that. And then how do I make it into a percentage? Can I make the bottom become 10? I mean, 100?
Yeah.
Multiply by 5. 15 over 100, which is? 15%. Good pop. Or doing your calculator, you get 0.15, move the decimal over, you get 15%. Is that decent?
Yep.
Don't do 20 over 3. You can't have 20 people out of 3. 20 people out of 3 prefer not learning math. Well, holy shit. Four out of 3 people don't understand fraction. All right. Now here I gave you a couple examples. We did some examples up on the board. Now watch. A lot of you guys were asking me what's wrong with this, and you were putting stuff in the wrong place. Just directly put it into a question. What? What do I put there?
X.
I don't know. So X is
Equals
45% becomes
145
of means
times
200. Bam! Just no ambiguity at all. Where it is where it is. That's deep, Jeff. Now, I know you can put this in the calculator, but let me see if somebody understands this. What is 10 times 2? 20. What is 5 times 4? 20. Same thing. If I have multiplication, now watch. What is that? What do I mean? If I move this over twice, I got to move this back twice to even things out. Twice 45 is 90. Right? Or as a human, I'd rather understand how these things that we invented work, these numbers. So there's all kinds of neat. So that's balancing. When you multiply two things, if you make one smaller, you got to make the other one bigger to compensate. You can use that to your advantage. Especially good with decimals.
So I just have the whole numbers, multiply them, and then move the decimal over twice.
I see, okay.
Is that okay?
You got to remember to do that though, so.
As long as I remember the bullet. Is he okay?
I'm probably going to put a note in there saying you got to make 45% become a decimal, yeah. I don't know, well, you could try it out and see what happens then. And then so this one, same idea, 72 is what percent of 180? It's almost the same damn problem. Oh well. Pass, Jeff. Look, I just put a 7 there. Woo. And then how do I get x by itself? Divide by 180. Now watch, what goes into 72 and 180? 7 plus 2 is 9, and 1 plus 8 is 9. So this would be 8 over 20 times 5 times 5, 40 over 100. So x is 40%. Or you could do 72 divided by 180 in the stupid calculator. You get 0.4, move it over, 40%. Either way. But you need to start getting okay with the idea that you can manipulate the numbers. You can actually play with them a bit and make it easier to do by hand. I don't want to do 180 to 72 long division in my head. I don't have to. I could do some stuff to it to make it easier to do in my head. And this is the same idea, right? 2 equals 0.05 times what? Yeah, exactly. So then I divide by 0.05. X is, careful now, move this over twice, move this over twice. 200 divided by 5 is 40. Not percent, because it's a number of things, right? Oh, got to get some WD-40. I actually brought some in for the final exam day because their next room was so creaky. I'm like, on the final exam, I'm not going to listen to this shit. Sprayed it. It was nice. WD-40 duct tape. That's all you need. Tax. Right? Have you guys heard that? If it's supposed to move and it doesn't move, WD-40. If it's not supposed to move and it's moving, duct tape. The tax on a new car was $1,600, which was, so $1,600 was is another name for equals. 8% of, I don't know. I'm trying to show you how this problem is actually these kind of problems. It's just I have to condense the question to make it more like what I'm used to. So you don't take 8% of 1,600. 1,600 came from taking 8% of something I don't know. So 8% of 1,600 is not going to get you anywhere. Well, it's the wrong answer. Divide by 0.08, divide by 0.08. So eventually you get 20,000, which makes sense for the price of a car. Lock it. Oh my goodness. All right. I do have to do, I got to get a little bit into word problems. Any questions on that? Craigslist car?
Yes.
Jeez. It's like one step down from a res car. All right. I gave you a couple examples of word problems, but all right. Here's the thing that students don't quite ever get. And if you get this, it makes everything so much easier. The idea behind a word problem is to capture the relationship between things. So, for example, don't look at this yet. There. If I said Fred makes $200 more than Barbara in a week, right? There's your income inequality. Fred makes $200 more than Barbara in a week. Who would you have to know? Who do you kind of have to know how much they make first, and then you can figure out the other person? So if I knew Barbara made $500 every week, how much does Fred make? Yeah. How much does Barbara make in a week? Do we know? So then the Barbara's weekly salary. What would you call it? I would call it B, but we'll call it X. Sure. B makes sense because this is Barbara, right? You can call it whatever the shit you want to. You can call it happy face. You can call it box. Box. It's just the symbol we use instead of an empty space. Now, I don't have to call Fred Y. That doesn't make any sense because it's related to Barbara. So Barbara makes X. Fred makes what? How does it relate to Barbara? Yeah, X plus 200. So what we just did is we modeled the relationship that we know. Do I have a way right now to figure out what X is? I don't have a way at all, but I've modeled the relationship between these two. I don't have to call this Y because there's a relationship between them. If I know one, I know the other one. That's exactly what this says. Now, if I told you last week they made a total, you can do it, Jeff, of what? I don't know, man. $1,800. How much did they each make? Well, how would you do it? So then if they made a total of $1,800, that means what am I doing with?
So 1,800 equals X plus 200? No.
No. Did Fred make $1,800?
No.
No. Together they made $1,800. So I have to take this and...
So 1,800 equals the Y plus.
No Y's. So tell me in English, how would you figure out? If I told you Barbara made 800 and I told you Fred made 1,000, that would be Barbara plus Fred is 1,800, right?
Right.
So what's Barbara? How much did she make? X. Plus, how much did Fred make? Here's Barbara. Here's Fred. Right? So what we've done is, now here's what's really neat. When you write this, you translated from English to math. You gave them a math name. I give this other guy a math name. And now I'm able to write the relationship and make an equation. So this would have been in a sentence in English. Take Barbara, add to Fred, you get 1,800. Take Barbara, there's Barbara's math name. Add it to Fred's salary, you get 1,800. So it is a huge mistake that happens all the time with students is they say X. They don't write this shit down at all. They say they see the 200 more and they write X plus 200 is $1,800 and they solve for X. And like, yay, I'm done because I got X. But that's saying Fred made 1,800 all by himself. He wishes. Do you see what I'm saying? So you cannot skip this step. This is what sets everything up. And so what do we get for an answer? How do I solve this?
2x plus 200.
2x plus 200. 1,800. Minus 200. X 2x equals 1,600. Then x equals 800. What the hell does that mean? Don't just circle this and go to the next problem. Come back up here. $800 for Barbara. So how much did Fred make? 1,000. I don't know why I put in parentheses. There you go. So this helps you answer the question too. If you do not skip this step, this is the step a lot of students skip, but then they make mistakes like that because you focus so much on the 200 more. You're like, oh, I know what that is. Bam, I got it. Yay! And then no, you're giving Fred more money, and Barbara, what's Barbara now? Right? So you got to include everybody in the equation to make this work. All right, so that's just a bare little. We just took a baby step into word problems. We're basically out of time, I believe. So please, for tomorrow, try to look through this. I'm not saying you should totally understand this, but see if you can see the steps I took. This other side of that paper, the one about word problems, got a triangle on there. So we'll get into word problems tomorrow. Oh, I do want to have a quiz, I think, on Thursday. We'll talk tomorrow about what it's going to cover. We'll have a quiz on Thursday. Yeah. Is that Staples? Yeah, thank you.